One financial analyst who spent 2 decades studying the markets agreed to a rare on-camera appearance to issue his biggest warning ever. He says the biggest market bubble in history is popping. So you can do nothing or take this one simple step to prepare now. This past winter, he began issuing a big warning about inflation and a looming market disaster. His timing was nearly perfect, but he promises you there's still time to act, to protect yourself, and potentially see some of the biggest gains of your life in the coming years in the right time-tested assets. Ones that tend to skyrocket in times of inflation, like hard assets, energy, and gold. He's put together a 5-stock model portfolio, a way to not just beat inflation, but benefit from it. This dead simple one-step investment approach could show you a series of triple-digit gains or higher starting right now. You could set yourself up in minutes and likely forget about inflation, rising prices, or the worst effects of a market crash for years to come. The critical thing is that you act now. Do your future self a huge favor and get the facts free of charge. To watch our full interview for free, simply go to inflationprotection2022.com. Again, that's inflationprotection2022.com to watch our full interview. Hi, this is Daniela Cambone, and welcome back to Stansberry Research and the kickoff to our summer series, where we have brought together some of the hottest guests to discuss the hottest topics of the summer. Here is a rundown thus far. We have inflation rising 9.1% in June, even more than expected. We have the US dollar trading at multi-decade highs now. We have the euro reaching parity with the US dollar, its lowest level since 2002. And we have the yield curve inversion between the 10-year and the 2-year reaching its biggest point since 2000, a clear sign that a recession may be on the horizon. Here to discuss this and so much more is E.B. Tucker, author of Why Gold, Why Now? E.B., welcome to our summer series.
Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here, and I can't believe we're halfway through the year.
Can't believe we are halfway through the year, and look at where we are now. I had to bring you on to talk about the US dollar, which is the strongest it has been in a generation, devaluing currencies around the world and unsettling the outlook for the global economy. EB, we spoke about this in our last conversation, and you said, look, the US dollar is basically walking around like a caveman with a club and just knocking everyone on the head. And that's exactly where we are right now.
Yeah, and so what does that mean for the average person? It means jump on the internet and book a trip to Europe immediately. I mean, I was in late May. I was in the UK, and we just had it was for business, of course, but we had a great time. And your dollar stretches really far. Typically, that's a time to go out and enjoy things or to buy things that are priced in euros. That might change. I remember in 2008, I was at a wedding in Lake Como. And I could barely afford a pizza. You know, the euro was 160, and you go for a pizza for lunch, it's like $50. But anyway, this goes in cycles, and now we're in a cycle where the dollar's high. But look, I want to tell you a few things that I think are really important for the people that are watching, because I'm noticing something that is a bit concerning. People are looking like deer in the headlights. They're watching all these things unfold, and they don't know what to do, and so they're doing nothing. And this is it is a time to do nothing, but I feel like people really have to understand that there's some big things happening at the moment. I mean, I've sold all of my real estate this year, closed on the last property in early August, and I'll have no real estate at all. And I think people are saying, well, maybe that's a good thing to do right now, but they're not doing anything about it. They're not doing anything about stocks. They're down 20%, and they're just watching and waiting. And I don't know anybody that's sold any crypto yet. They're just saying, well, I'm not really sure what to do about that. I sure am down a lot. So that's a problem, because people are standing like watching a car accident. I mean, you have to get out of the way. I mean, that's what you have to do. And that's what people need to be doing right now. And I have a way to do that.
So what is it? I want to know. What's the plan here?
Well, so what I've been spending my time doing, if you recall, last time I think I suggested people go to a Fish concert, take a vacation, all these things. They sounded silly, but there's not really anything to buy right now. So that's the thing. Everybody's like, what do I buy? What do I buy? There's nothing to buy, because if you notice, everything you own is going down in value, and everything you need is going up in price. So what you don't want to be buying things right now. What you want to be doing is you want to be protecting your liquidity. You need liquidity. I want everyone to picture, if I know you have kids, you've probably been to a party where they have a bounce house. If the fan on the bounce house turns off, the thing collapses in a couple of minutes. So this economy, the Fed's economy, is like a bounce house. If the fan is turned off, which they've turned off the fan, the air comes out of the bounce house really fast. You do not want to be in the bounce house when the walls cave in, because you're going to get lost in there. It's disgusting. You want to get out of there before the walls cave in. That's what's happening right now. Now, I don't think that's going to go on forever. But what I'm doing every single day is I'm buying T-bills, and I have an account with Treasury Direct. It's anybody can get one, but most people don't. And I'm a direct bidder in the T-bill auction. And people say, well, that's pretty boring. All right, well, right here I can see the T-bill for 4 weeks is 1.9. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, that's 1.9% for 4 weeks. I mean, I'll do the 4-week, the 8-week, the 13-week. I'm spending all my market time buying T-bills. Why would I be doing that? Okay, people say, oh, the U.S. government, let me tell you something. The U.S. government, if it fails, you got much, much bigger problems than making profits. You're going to be surviving, okay? So T-bills are a good place to hide out, and that's what I'm doing right now, because I think we're going to be in for a problem come this fall, and I'm going to be ready to take action, and most people are not going to be ready.
That's the only thing you're buying right now? Why
That's
not
it.
take advantage of the dips we saw in gold last week?
Well, I've obviously, okay, that goes without saying that I've been to the coin stores. My dealers, in my book, Why Gold, Why Now, I have all my dealers listed. They all tell me they have plenty of gold coins. So I have been buying some gold coins. There's lots of them available, so you could take your pick. The premiums are down. Nobody wants gold coins right now. I've exercised options in Metalla. I bought, 10 days ago, I bought about 40,000 US dollars worth of Metalla. I mean, okay, that goes without saying. But what I'm saying is that's not speculative. I mean, the reason why I'm buying Metalla is because it's trading at less than net asset value. And like there's royalty companies are amazing because there's no factory, there's no widget making process. And so you don't really care what happens in the short run. You care about what you own. Okay, so that's different. But when it comes to other things in the market, there's nothing else to buy right now. If you notice, what's happening is you're staring at your accounts and everything's slowly going down. And what that means is as people need to sell, there's no buyer. So what I'm saying to you is take a survey. If you go to dinner with your friends, see if you can figure out if they've sold anything. My guess is they have not. So what's going to happen when they start to sell? I mean, with real estate, people aren't selling. What they're doing is they're slowly lowering the price. And they usually chase it all the way down to the bottom, and then they puke at the bottom, and then it turns around and goes back up. This is what they do in stocks too. Oh, I can't sell now. Can't sell now. Wait a minute. It's got to go back up. Hold on. I'm almost there. Wait a minute. I don't want to take a loss. Puke. That's how things go typically.
Wait, I just want to understand your psychology here a second. So is this the top for housing? Is that how you're seeing it? Or you're saying, I don't know if it's the top, but it's good enough for me, so I'm out?
Well, I'll tell you like this. When I talk to my gold dealers, nobody wants to buy an ounce of gold. When I put a house on the market, it goes in a bidding war. I don't know if it's the top of the housing market. Now, when I watch these people bidding, Daniela, I'm starting to get worried I'll never have a house again because I have people on one house that's closing next month, 50,000 over asking price. I mean, I'm thinking this is crazy. And they have tons of money for down payment. But when I look at the numbers don't make any sense. I mean, between the cost to keep the house up and the rent and everything together, I'm making 1 or 2% per year. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I think there's much better places for the money. So I'm not predicting a housing crash. What I'm saying is that I think housing has gone too far, and it's going to need it's like a snake that eats something and it has to go through its belly. That's how I see housing. It's good. The snake's going to live, but it needs to digest what it's had. It ate too much. And that's how I see housing.
Your properties are mostly in Florida, I'm assuming? Just curious.
Yeah, I'm in Florida. Yeah, mostly in Florida. I had some in North Carolina, but those went at the end of last year. So the deal is that housing is a lagging indicator. So housing goes up after the market has gone up, and housing goes down after the market has gone down. So lagging indicator means by the time it starts to do what it's going to do, you could have seen it coming for a year. That's how people need to see housing.
I just want to hone in here on the strength of the US dollar again, because I
Yeah.
see it as a doom loop here. And I want to bring up what you said that hit home with a lot of folks saying the Fed doesn't care about you. This was in our last talk. The Fed
Yeah.
doesn't really care about inflation. They want you to think they're fighting inflation, but their main concern is just keeping that US dollar pumped at all costs.
And so what the Fed's trying to do is strengthen the dollar. That's what they want to. They don't care anything about inflation. Like, I hate to tell you something. No one cares about inflation and about helping you. No one's here to help you. There's going to be no help, okay? All they're going to do is distract you.
That really, that cold hard truth. I had some people write in saying like, wow, like, EB really changed the way I'm viewing things now. So now we have inflation over 9%. So everything they've been doing has failed, basically, correct?
Well, okay, but if you notice, what's going to happen is they're going to talk this. The media department of the Fed must be larger than any other department, because these guys are having press releases every single day with Fed governors saying this and that. It's very coordinated. So you have 9%, but what you can see coming is they're going to say it's turned the corner to now start to go down. So as soon as they say, oh, it's 8.9, we beat inflation, it's headed on the way down, everything is going to be safe. This is called a narrative. This is how you tell the story. So this is what they're going to do next. But the Fed has a difficult situation. Without the reason why they have to run around the world with the big stick of the dollar is because without that, they have nothing. So you have to maintain that. So that's got to get stronger to force people to use the dollar and to project power. But if it gets too strong, it crushes the Fed's own society. So you see how you can neglect your significant other for a while, but you can't neglect too much, because then you'll have no significant other. This is the trouble that they're in.
Right. So it's just interesting that in every crisis, there's always talk like, this is it, this is the end of the US dollar, and then it just keeps coming back stronger and stronger and stronger. So you ask, how long is this narrative going to go on for? And, how does it play out? Like, does it just like blow up at one point and we come back
No,
down? How
I don't
long?
think so. I don't think so. So if you look at a chart back to 1970, the general trend is down, but it has these rallies like 2000. 2008 or so was probably the bottom. So then you had this long 14-year rally to where we get now. Okay, so the dollar has had these rallies in the past, and then at some point there's a turning point, and then it goes down for years, but it doesn't go to zero. It's not going away. I mean, there's 13 nuclear armed battle carriers zipping around the world, commanding people to do things. That doesn't go to nothing overnight. People are dreaming. That's like the people that think they'll be using silver coins to buy bread or something. It's not. It's an extremist view. Okay, that you can go into a weakening cycle for a long time, and that has things you can do as well, right? But right now you're not there. Look, the dollar is like 107 today. I would suspect the dollar probably goes as high as 120 in the fall. Just so you know, I think what's going to happen is people are staring at this car wreck right now. They don't have enough cash. Everything that they're buying at the supermarket or everywhere, they're getting my yard service. I mean, everything you do is going up in price. But the problem is your assets are going down in price. And so I think people are going to hit an inflection point where they say, oh my God, I've got to sell this now. And when that starts happening, there's going to be nothing there on the other side. And that's going to be probably September, October of this year. That's when the dollar is its highest.
On the topic of you're saying, there's nothing to buy with the euro dollar on par here, why wouldn't you be buying euros?
Well, I mean, I would say buy a Rolex, but the problem is that if you try to buy a Rolex, they make you wait in a line that wraps around the building 3 times. So it's not really practical. I mean, that kind of is a sign of where we are right now. I mean, there's people have bought watches they can't afford. I mean, I would normally say buy things that are made in Europe. I don't think currency trading is really a profit. Like, you can buy ETFs that give you exposure that's leveraged, but I just honestly don't think people tend to handle that very well, Daniela. The net result of that tends to be that they lose money, and there's no point in losing money. right now. What you want to do is you want to preserve your money, because when this gets nasty, the Fed's going to step in with an emergency program. And whenever that
Hmm.
happens, it's going to flip on a dime. And if you have money, you're able to participate. Let me tell you something. Howard Marks, who's one of the best investors in the world, during the COVID situation, he formed a distressed credit fund. And by the time he got all the paperwork done, the Fed had stepped in and it was too late to buy any distressed credit. So he said, which I think is very wise, this is a new set of rules here. I mean, you have a week or two to make a decision. If you don't have cash, you're not going to be able to find cash at the time to make that decision. You have to get the cash when you can, not when you need it. And so that's why I'm spending my day buying treasury bills, which, by the way, treasury bills are short-term bills. I'm not talking about 10-year bonds here. The 10-year bond barely yields more than the 1-year treasury bill. I'm not even buying 1 year. I mean, I'm buying 13 weeks is the longest T-bill that I'm buying. And when you can get T-bills, if the Fed raises 100 basis points next week, you're talking about 4-week T-bills at almost 3%, which is insane. So, and you're liquid. So that's, you're sitting there in September, October, you might be looking at a big car wreck, and you say, I'll buy all the stuff that I want. That's how I'm seeing this right now.
Yeah, you're basically echoing what Rick Rule has been saying for the longest time as well, that you want cash, you want to be able to be in a position to step in. But if I bring up what a lot of other experts on the show have said, is that, well, you also want to be cautious and careful of being so exposed to the banking system. Do you want to have that much cash?
No, yeah, but you're not in the banking system. You're buying T-bills. That's different. That's the U.S. Treasury. So I mean, what I do is okay. You can have the Treasury bills constantly rolling over. So every week, if you buy a 4-week Treasury bill, an 8-week Treasury bill, you're constantly having these things come out. So yeah, I mean, the banking system could have problems. I'm not predicting that, but I'm saying if you've got some money in the banking system and a high yield savings account, and you got some T-bills that are multiple duration, I think you've done about the most responsible thing you can do with your liquidity. I mean, if we're talking about a banking system collapse, a U.S. Treasury collapse, believe me, you're not going to be worried about profits at that point. You're going to be scrambling for something to eat.
Okay.
So that is not the type of thing that I'm predicting.
I want to bring this back to Russia now, and just with this whole reserve currency fight playing out. Putin recently saying the issue of creating an international reserve currency based on a basket of currencies of our countries is being worked out. He's referring to the BRICS, and he said this during a BRICS business forum. No surprise here?
No, because that's why the dollar has to be strong, is so that you can take the dollar baseball bat and smash the BRIC countries. So Putin being the strongest, I mean, arguably China also has a horse in that fight, but the Chinese have a whole different set of economic concerns than the Russians do. But the U.S. cannot allow these other currencies to become dominant, because it loses supremacy, and then it loses its standing in the world. So what I think is going to happen is you run this dollar up to 120 or something, you create immense pain for the BRIC countries. Imagine if you're El Salvador, which is not a BRIC country, but imagine you're El Salvador. You spend all your money on Bitcoin at 55,000, and now you're in serious trouble, and the U.S. comes down there to have a meeting with you and says, don't ever do that again. You're going to say, yes, sir. Okay, that's how this goes, right? So, but at the same time, if it goes too far, the average American in Kansas starts to run into major trouble servicing their debt and loses a job. This economy is rolling over. Definitely ask a business owner. Nobody thinks things are positive right now. Everybody is preparing for some sort of problem. That means the economy is slowing down, so you're headed into a huge slowdown. So as that is all happening, and then you have these other countries, right? So now everybody's going to come to the table. You're in a huge economic slowdown. The dollar is super high. I mean, you're setting yourself up for a deflationary panic event where the Fed can step in and rewrite the rules. That's the key thing here. They're going to rewrite the rules.
And I hear what you're saying, but I'm curious to know this. As E.B. Tucker, American citizen living in the US of A, does that not make you feel more protected that the Fed is doing everything at all costs to keep the US dollar as number one in the world?
No, because I don't feel like they've ever done anything for EB Tucker, and EB Tucker diligently sends them large tax checks every quarter. But you have to live somewhere, okay? You cannot. All the people I know that have renounced their citizenship told me, you know what? At the end of the day, you can't be a nomad. You got to go to some other place, and you got a new set of problems to deal with. So when people are saluting the flag and all these, they're dressed in American flags here in Florida.
Right.
They people blow their hands off with fireworks. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. But I sometimes wonder what's wrong with them. They look like Hitler Youth or something. And I just say everyone is from a country. I mean, there's nothing you can do, right? I mean, if you become an Irish citizen, you got a whole different problem to deal with. So no country is really better than another one. The U.S. dollar is not better; it's just different. You have different problems here than you have in
Okay.
these other countries. So right now you have a strong dollar that creates a situation where you need to be deliberate about your investments with the strong dollar. As that dollar will start to weaken at some point, and usually the first part of that is powerful. So if you go to 120 and you sit there for a while, the economy hits a wall. The BRIC countries don't have as much leverage. You know, some country like a Turkey or someone with a huge amount of problems, something crazy happens, and one of these, there'll be something crazy will happen in the next 90 days. You cannot have the dollar this strong. Something is going to break, and it's going to be a major headline, and it's going to be like a panic event. That it always happens, and so this is coming. This is coming in the next 90 days, and it'll be a front page headline. All right. I don't know what it'll be. So the reason why, let me just make it easy for people. The reason why is because you had easy money for 14 years, and you just took all the easy money away. So you notice tech companies like Klarna, these companies are doing down rounds. That means they're raising money at lower valuations than previously. That means the people that invested at the higher valuation have to write down that amount. This is asset deflation. This is what people need to understand. Asset deflation and price deflation at the grocery store are two different things, okay? We're talking about asset deflation. That means my pancake coin is not worth as much as I thought it was. Do you see how this goes? That's asset deflation.
You just made me think of something else. The great Ray Dalio has said these five things happen when it's the sign of an empire in decline. So you mentioned the excessive amounts of money printing, which was our lives for the longest time. So money printing, financial crisis, wealth gaps, internal conflict, external conflict. Those five things have to happen to start the collapse of an empire. Do you feel we're there now?
All those things are happening. So I mean, the average person is doomed. They have bought a house and borrowed all the money to buy the house. They have a 401k, which they're self-directing and have bought all speculative stocks, and they think that they're going to somehow turn into like a stock trading hero. And then they've bought cryptocurrency. And it's amazing that so many people have bought cryptocurrency, and they ask me, what do you think about crypto? So I hate this. And then I say, well, something nice, because I know they risked all their life savings, so I don't want to be too crass with them. And I say, have you sold any? Well, no, I'm not going to sell any now. In fact, I'm going to buy more. And I'm just thinking, this isn't over until this person tells me, I knew I should have never bought that stupid pancake coin. Once I hear that, now I know that it's over. It's not over.
Okay, but hold on on that point, because I know you've been critical of the crypto space, saying it's like a sweepstakes, going to play the roulette at the casino. But altcoins aside, how about Bitcoin, right? And the folks that say, okay, we may be in a Bitcoin winter right now, but people are just not gonna. There's too much money that's been placed in Bitcoin. The infrastructure's there. It's not just gonna go away, EB.
Okay, when Michael Saylor does something drastic and has a panic attack, then it's probably time to look at the major coins, Ethereum and Bitcoin. But you have not seen capitulation yet. What you're seeing is people behaving like when they buy a dog stock that's going to go bankrupt. They buy it at 10, at 8, 6, 5, 4, 1, then it's 50 cents, they barf, and then it goes back up. Okay, you're waiting for the barfing. You haven't seen it yet. It's coming. It's coming. And so maybe Bitcoin rallies to 30 or something, in the next 6 or 8 weeks, and then has another down leg. I'm not trying to say to you that crypto is not a serious asset that's going to be involved in our future. What I'm trying to say to you is that it became a mania. And when you have a speculative mania, there's a certain psychology that has to play out that has nothing to do with the technology. Gold in 1980 went to over $800 for a very brief period of time. It became a mania where people thought they buy gold, they'll sell it in a year and buy themselves a new car. This is what people were thinking if you read history books about this. In a mania, it takes time for that to wear off. And so we have not seen that wear off yet. So when you think about crypto, don't be ideological. So you have to assess the future, but then you have to say to yourself, this is a problem. If you have there's a coffee shop in New York that I go to all the time in Lower East Side, and the lady that owns it is like, what do I do about my crypto? It's amazing. And I'm like, have you sold any? No, it's down too much. I have too much of it. Okay. When she tells me I got rid of all of it and I never want to look at it again, I deleted the Coinbase app, that's when you know that you have hit the psychological bottom. Until you hear that, you're still waiting for people to the clutter to go away. So you can study the technology. You're right. You're definitely right. But you've got to be careful about the price you pay for that, because these people are making bad decisions. I know people that have these pizza coin, all these terrible coins, and they keep buying them. There's like a fraction of a penny or something. And they tell me how if it comes back to where it was, this is the talk of a gambler. This is not a winning psychology.
Thank you for that. I just, before we wrap here, another just topic I wanted to bring up was Russia gas. Russia denying that it's using gas as a weapon against the West. However, supplies have fallen by more than 60% in recent weeks. We have the EU now, EB signing a new gas deal with Azerbaijan as fears grow over the Russian cutoff here. Thoughts on the gas deal and how this plays out?
Well, who doesn't use energy as a weapon? I mean, of course, the U.S. uses LNG as a way to control Germany, and Russia uses gas as a way to control Germany. I mean, this has been going on for centuries. I don't know why we've picked a fight with Russia. I don't think we'll know that until later, but I can tell you that we've tried to box them out of the dollar system. They have commodities. We need commodities. The Germany's caught in the middle. I don't know how this plays out. Without gas, Germany freezes to death. The entire industrial base there is in trouble. You cannot ship enough LNG over there. I don't know what these guys are doing. I mean, this is a time where you want to sit back and say, we're not in those discussions. We can't possibly know. I mean, the West has decided to take globalization and split it in half, and to divide the world into different parts. And if you notice, like the Russians are down in Dubai, and China, Dubai, Russia's become a little triangle, kind of like, US, UK, Switzerland's a little triangle. I mean, it's all dividing. So as it's dividing, you got to wait and see what the parts look like. I mean, this is not something the average person can speculate on. It's not. I mean, this is a big fight, and the stakes are global control. I mean, that's a big deal. If you're in your recliner, your lazy boy in South Carolina, this is not the kind of fight you want to be involved in.
Oh, EB. All right, let's end it on a lighter note here, because last time you were on, the folks loved when you said what kind of berries you were eating. I got so many emails. What berries did EB say he eats? And I know you're really into your health. Do you have any other health tips you can share with us? One thing that EB Tucker does every day.
Well, I've been eating a lot of wild blueberries. I know this sounds crazy, but wild blueberries are different from regular blueberries. I'm not talking organic. The wild ones are very small, and they can cross the blood-brain barrier and help filter out toxins that we've taken in our toxic daily life. So do some research on wild blueberries. You can order them from, I get them from a place in Oregon where they pick them in a forest, but you can get them at Whole Foods in the freezer section, and put these into your smoothies and drink these, and you won't believe the health benefits, and it'll help remove some of these dangerous toxins that you've taken in during your life. They're also quite tasty. And I think the health journey, let me just say this, the health journey is something people need to look at as it's a marathon. Every time you do something for your health and you learn something about your health and you read a book about your health, you're adding to your database of knowledge about the health journey. And so the average person says, I'm having a pain and I need a pill to fix it. I mean, the medical system is utterly useless. You pay an unbelievable amount of money for medical insurance that you can't use, and then you go to the doctor and these people, they do nothing to help you. You can educate yourself and start learning about your body and learning how to listen to your body and making small changes over time. I'm not talking about hanging from the ceiling or something. I'm talking about little things you can do, changing the time you eat, changing the things that you eat, the combinations of food, and you would not believe how much better you feel as time passes. And then you start noticing that the average American is taking on the most bizarre shape. It's just bizarre how people look. And what it is that they've put zero thought into what they're putting in their body.
Yeah.
You go 20 years of eating all processed, hydrogenated oils and cheapest foods possible, and your body has changed so drastically that you can barely even recognize. If you go to the zoo, you can't tell the difference between the patrons and the animals. It's crazy.
So no seed oil for you.
No seed oil. You got to be very careful about this. You got to really be careful about. And when you go buy something, you got to look at the ingredients.
Yeah.
And if it's cheap, you got to really be concerned. Food is very expensive. And it's the number one most important thing to put into your body. You should be spending a fortune on what you eat. And I'm not talking about at restaurants on the right side of the menu. I rarely go to restaurants. I mean, sometimes I have a few that I really like a lot. So I do like dining, fine dining. Okay. But those restaurants typically are using proper ingredients. But people have got to start getting involved in what don't eat anything out of a package. If you tear open a package, there's a problem, because to preserve that food, it's gone through a process that makes it very difficult for your body to handle. So this is not too much. This is the last thing I want to say. If you are in a situation where you're discouraged about your health and you're in trouble, you have to understand, this is not an insurmountable situation. Your body is remarkably capable of surviving for a long period of time. You can do this, and you just start learning and go down this journey. The journey starts with one step, and everybody can do this. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I'm on my own health journey. It's just been incredible, like you say. So here we are, educating folks, not just on finance, but mind, body, and soul. E.B. Tucker.
Self-educating. Yeah.
I love our conversations. I really do. Thank you for joining me here on the kickoff of our summer series.
Thanks for having me. I hope everybody takes to heart what we said, and then let's come back at the end of the quarter, like end of September, and let's see if we were onto something, and then we'll say what to do about it then.
Let's do it. E.B. Tucker, author of Why Gold, Why Now, here on the summer series on Stansberry Research. We'll have much more incredible guests, content coming your way. You will not want to miss this, folks. So be sure to sign up at danielacambone.com so you stay on top of it all. That's it for me. Thanks for watching.
Opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the contributor and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Stansberry Research, its parent company, or affiliates.